Housing Plus. Yeah. You know we're ready.
Yes.
Shall I go now? Okay. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this meeting of the London Borough of Newham's Regeneration, Housing and Environment Scrutiny Commission. Can everybody present hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay. This evening's meeting is being held at Newham Town Hall. Members unable to join us physically at this location are able to join remotely. However, they will not be able to vote and their attendance won't be officially recorded, although their virtual attendance will be noted in the minutes. I would like to welcome the members of the public and press, thank you for coming, who are physically attending or watching on YouTube. This meeting of the London Borough of Newham's Regeneration, Housing and Environment Scrutiny Commission is now called to order. Agenda item number 1, apologies for absence. Do we have any apologies?
One from Councillor Lakshmi Shah
Uh-huh.
and
Anyone else?
Pardon?
Councillor Zubair, can it be noted down?
Yes.
Councillor Zubair, Councillor Lesperds.
Yes.
Chair, is it also worth noting for the public that some committee members have left the committee due to commitments?
Yeah, and also we've just put in the minutes that Councillor John Morris and Councillor Caroline Adaja have resigned from the committee because they've joined the executive branch. Is there anybody else that I've missed? I think so. No? Okay, fine. Are you okay with that, Clark?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Agenda item number 2, declarations of interest. This is for members to declare any disclosable pecuniary interest or non-pecuniary interest they may have in any matter being considered at this meeting. Is there any declarations needed to be made at this time? No? Okay. Agenda item number 3, the minutes. The next item is the minutes of the meeting held on the 15th of December, 2022. Are there any corrections or accuracy to the minutes from members? Or officers, actually? No? Or lead members?
No, nothing.
No? Okay. So I move that the minutes of the meeting of the commission, held on the 15th of December, 2022 be agreed as a correct record. Is that agreed?
Yes.
Agreed. Thank you. Moving on, agenda item number 4. Now on this, we do have some input from officers. That is in our agenda pack here. I'm going to go through them one by one quite quickly. I want to welcome Vicky Clark, actually. Can you hear me, Vicky?
Yes, thank you. I can hear you fine.
Jamie Cook and Murray as well. So looking at the agenda pack, I'm just going to quickly go through them one by one. And these are the actions trackers or the items that we've requested. So the first one was from the 14th of October, 2021, and that was for Popular Living Performance and Delivery. Do you have that, Vicky?
Yes, I have that.
Great.
So would you sorry, carry on.
No. And I was going to say, do you want to say a few words on that, or is there anything that you would like to say?
Yes, thank you. So as expressed in my note of response, firstly, an apology that it's taken so long to get this information across to you. I know when this was previously discussed that it was advised that this information would be provided via the medium of the Populo business plan, and obviously everyone would be aware that there's been extensive discussion of Populo finances through various forums recently. However, I thought it would be helpful just to set out for clarity and succinctness direct responses to these this and the subsequent action point, and that's what I've done in the response below. What I've done here is presented in summary form Populo's forecast operating cost for the financial year 22-23, that being now the more or less the current financial year, or the financial year on which we have the most information. A couple of things to note on that. Firstly, obviously we're right at the in the financial close down period, so the figures I'm presenting here are obviously still subject to close down processes and final verification. But I've presented them in a simple format which corresponds to the format in which Populo have presented future year forecast of operating costs in their business plan. So that gives the Commission the opportunity to look at this year's performance and future years projections on the same basis. In Populo's management accounts, there is more detailed breakdown of operating costs, and if at any point in the future the Commission would like us to return to present those in more detail, I'm very happy to do that.
Okay, thank you very much. And that covers the 2 items that we asked for from the 14th of October 2021. So thank you very much for that. Sorry, Vicky, did you have something else you want to say?
Yeah, just to say there is a second item which talks through in which covers the impact on the on both the council and Populo's finances of the various decisions on the triangle scheme. So that's the second half of my note.
Thank you
But
very
that's
much.
self-explanatory, I hope.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely fine. Does any member have any questions specifically about those two items? No? Okay, that's fine. I'm going to move on then. The next item is from the 13th of October 2022. It initially was under Dave Hughes, but I believe it's now under Darren Levy. Yeah, and that is the average rent level per property type, etc. Do you want to just speak to that for a second?
Yeah, so summary has been provided to the committee outlining average rents from 2021, 21, 22, 22, 23, and for next year, 23, 24.
Thank you.
Shows average rents for bed sits and 1 beds, 2 beds, 3 beds, 4 beds, and 6 beds and more. So hopefully that covers the information that was.
Thank you very much. And the next item is from the 13th of October 2022, information on temporary accommodation sustainability and additional pressures on the general fund. Have you submitted something for that?
So I think that was to some extent superseded because we brought the report on temporary accommodation and temporary accommodation supply to the December overview and scrutiny, and produced a report outlining all the different streams of temporary accommodation to that committee meeting. We've since also reported on the pipeline of acquisitions, where there's a manifesto commitment to deliver up to 500 acquisitions for temporary accommodation. And we've since also started procuring nightly accommodation through a dynamic purchasing system rather than the kind of spot booking through credit cards, which was something that the scrutiny committee picked up. So I'd hope that those actions, along with the report that we brought in December, would have covered off that action.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. I think the problem is, even though you brought the report in December, it technically wasn't a response to this specific question or item that the committee sent. And that happens all the time, in that obviously things happen elsewhere, but it doesn't properly address the specific question. And even though the information's out there, you're right, but just for clarity in future, it'd be great if we could just have a specific response to a request that we send from this committee. I can't speak to overview and scrutiny, but I mean from this particular.
Okay, my apologies.
No, that's absolutely fine. That's fine. And can I just ask that your office just sends over a 1-page note, just detailing exactly what you just said,
Yes.
just so that we can stick it in the file so that we can close off the municipal year and that's all done and dusted. Yeah. Okay. Next one is Air Quality Action Plan Commitment Review Performance. Jamie Cook.
Thank you, Chair. So Murray has joined us on the line to discuss this as well. This is the air quality as it relates to the highways network. We've got some data regarding the various pollutants and the issues that they cause and where they and the particular roads that are creating the highest concentrations of pollution.
Thank you. Murray?
Yes, I mean, I think this sits with our colleagues in environmental health and Vicky Clark's directorate, the Air Quality Action Plan, but clearly transport is a key contributor to our pollutants in the borough. As far as nitrogen oxides are concerned, around 50% of those are emanating from vehicles. When it comes to particulate pollutants, it's a slightly smaller percentage because of the contribution made by central heating systems and fires and other sort of dust emanating industrial processes. So it's about 37% or so of particulate pollutants come from transport. Now, we are obviously taking steps in the highways area to improve our air quality by, first of all, addressing how people use their vehicles, but secondly, trying to encourage people to move towards cleaner vehicles. So we have an emissions-based parking scheme, which obviously incentivise more clean vehicles. We have a rollout of electric charging points, which enables our residents to move towards electric vehicles themselves. And we have a package of measures which encourage our residents to use their vehicles less and therefore generate less pollution. It's very difficult, however, to then present some air quality data to you before and after we have introduced some intervention, and for us to be completely certain that our intervention has caused that change. Because as my air quality colleague in environmental health always says to me, the atmosphere is very large. And therefore, whenever we are measuring a small part of it, there is always that external influence through winds and things which are generated outside of that area, which can influence our figures. Similarly, it's very difficult if we record an improvement in air quality on a street, that it is down to our particular measures. It could be down to air quality. It could be down to there not being a fire in continental Europe, which brings various dust in our direction. There could be a whole list of other factors. So it's quite difficult for us to show you that improvement and relate it to specific projects. But what we can show is a continual improvement.
Thank you, Murray. I really do appreciate that. I'm just going to move on to the next item here, which is that in early 2023, officers explain what the funding limitations are on the process of finalising healthy route maps for in-school streets, schools. I think they mean healthy school streets, schools. But yeah, it just quite briefly, can you just go through that one just very quickly? Is there any limitations? Is there not?
Yes, there was a limitation at the time. That limitation has now been relieved somewhat as Transport for London's sort of funding regime has returned to normal after COVID.
Okay.
There was a limitation on what we could spend our TfL money on while COVID was ongoing and Transport for London's income was affected. And we were only able to spend on physical infrastructure projects. So our mapping, which is revenue expenditure, was not something we were able to support at that time. However, I'm happy to say that that's back again and we will pick that up again this year.
Great. And can I just say, thank you very much for that. And Jamie, just in case, I think you may have sent them through, but just in case you haven't, can you just send them through in writing for those two items, just so the clerk can have them? Does any member have any questions on what they've just heard? No. Oh, Simon, sorry.
Thank you, Chair. Just an observation. I know that on 25 to 2030, road transport NOx pollutants will be quite significantly lower. And looking at what's in front of me, aviation and domestic and industry will be actually higher than road transport. Are these already going to be started to address as well to bring those further down in the future?
Well, yeah, thank you for the question, Councillor Rush. I mean, that's slightly outside of my subject area. I obviously have the focus on transport emissions, but clearly our colleagues in housing and in other parts of the council are looking to, the conversion of our housing stock, central heating systems and other things which will generate that. As far as industry is concerned, we are a bit more limited in terms of what we can do on a regulatory sense in that direction. But yes, I mean, we obviously now have a climate director who is drawing all these initiatives together in the council and looking at our overall carbon production and our emissions in general.
Okay, thank you very much. Any other member have a question this time?
I was going to say a quick supplementary.
Yeah, go for it. Very quickly though.
I'm aware that with regards to men, product out again, you may not be aware of it, expertise that will reduce or remove CO2 carbon in cement. Is that beginning to be looked at? I know it's a bit more expensive, but only slightly. Is that something?
Yeah. Can I just step in there a second, please, Murray? I think that'll be a bit out of Murray's ballpark. However, it may be in Jamie's as the corporate director. Jamie, do you have any understanding of what Councillor Rush is speaking about, or do you have anything you can say on that?
I think really it goes back to the point Murray made earlier on, in that we will look at it through the newly created director position and look at it as a whole across the council, both in terms of our own operations and our suppliers as well.
Okay.
Yes, I mean, we are exploring these aspects of slightly, looking at the sustainable and environmental aspects of our contractors. And that is part of a discussion we're having about road surfacing materials, concrete, and a bunch of other things we're trying to drive down our emissions.
I think as well, if I may, Chair, there
Yeah.
are some quite interesting and sophisticated tools that are being developed by a research group that we have membership of as Newham Council, that will look at the whole kind of life cycle of a transport or highways intervention and look at every single part of it. So as Maria said, there's a consideration of the materials, how the materials were transported, the kind of working arrangements of the staff and everything to give a measure and to look at how we can improve air quality on that basis. All at quite an early stage, but something I'd be happy to come back and report on in the future.
Okay, thank you very much, and I do appreciate that. Does any member have anything they want to add to this item and maybe leave for the commission in the next municipal year, something that they would either like the commission to look at or just a comment on some of these things? Councillor Chadder.
Chair, with reference to Poplar, I know it's come up in several places across the council, but I think going back to your earlier point, we don't seem to have rounded it off fully here as a discussion. So if it was up to the next committee, could we leave a recommendation that they look at the Poplar business plan that went to cabinet a couple of weeks ago?
Okay, so can we have that minuted as a formal recommendation to the next committee and chair? They look at the Popular business plan. Yeah. Brilliant.
Can I just add a further point?
Yeah.
With an emphasis on looking at the return on ESG in particular and the financial viability in the long term.
Got that? Yeah, okay. Does any other member have anything they want to add to this section? No? Okay, cool. That's fine. Thank you very much, Murray and Jamie. Really do appreciate you coming. So we've pretty much got all of the actions and all of the items that we asked for. So I'm just going to close off that section. I'm going to move on to agenda item number 5, which should have been environment services, investment and outcomes, but I'm going to vary the agenda and I'm going to move item 6 to item 5. So that brings us to, there we are, repairs and maintenance service, performance and delivery. And at this time, I'm going to ask that we move into closed session so that we exclude the press and public because there is some confidential information in the presentation that we're about to see. So we'll just give it a minute for officers to sort out the arrangements for them.